Good morning, everybody. I just wanted to bring you an important message today about an event that happened just a couple of days ago. I'm still a little bit tired. I don't think I've recovered fully from what happened, but I wanted to bring the news to you and share with you what actually happened and how we survived it. So, a couple of days ago, I got a call. It was about 11:30 at night. I had just laid down to go to sleep. I believe it was Wednesday night. And today is Saturday, November 11th, 2017. And I got a call at about 11:30 at night. The first time the phone rang, I just ignored it and was going to go to sleep. But when it rang the second time, I answered, and that's always the way to get me if you have an emergency. If you call back, I will answer no matter what I'm doing. So I answered the phone, and it was a friend of mine in Durant, Oklahoma. And he said, I just wanted to call and tell you that my house is surrounded by police. I'm barricaded inside. They've blocked off the neighborhood. Nobody can get in or out. And I said, I'm on my way. Just immediately, I'm on my way. And I jumped up and started, grabbing clothes. And he said, no, don't. They won't let you in. And I said, well, I have to come anyway. And he said, no, don't. They're not going to let you in. Just don't do it. He's about maybe a 6 or 7 hour drive away. And so I listened to him and I didn't leave. And what I want to share with you today is how we got out of that situation with nobody getting killed. That's powerful. That's very powerful. I was afraid all night long that my friend was going to be killed. And I think there's only a couple of reasons he wasn't. So, I wanted to share that with you today. And, before I get to that, let's get to what was actually happening at the time. So here's the video that the news media put out about the event.
As we start tonight with some breaking news coming out of Bryan County, several people evacuated from a Durant neighborhood tonight as law enforcement surround a home.
News 12's Abby Maynard is there live. And Abby, what's going on right now?
There are dozens of first responders here just up the street from the home on Sunny Meadows and Meadowlark here in Durant. Police say when they were responding to a welfare check on a suicidal man, he then locked them out of the home and barricaded himself inside. Now they say he is armed, so just as a precaution, they evacuated the neighbors nearby, and right now they are trying to peacefully resolve this situation. So for now, just stay clear of this area as much as you can. Again, that's all the information we have right now, but stay with us. For now, I'm live in Durant, Abby Maynard.
Okay, so that was the news media's take on the situation. Suicidal man barricaded in his home. What had happened, what my friend told me had happened that touched off the situation is his daughter called and told the police that he was suicidal. When they showed up, well, she also called my friend and told him that she had called the FBI on him. So he was worried that the FBI was going to show up because he is a truther and he does publish information regarding the truth about certain situations in banking and finance, etc., government corruption and that kind of thing. And so when he answered the door, he had his sidearm on his side. And the police said they wanted his gun, which he had no obligation to give up. So he said no. They mentioned a fear for their safety, as our quote-unquote bravest and finest often do, fear their safety. So my friend said, well, I'll be happy to put it down in the hallway, which he did. The officer continued to ask for the gun, and my friend continued to say, no, I'm not giving up my gun. I'm not suicidal. I'm fine. Everything's okay. And they refused to leave, and then the officer reached for the screen door and tried to open it. At that point is when my friend closed the door, locked it, and stayed inside, and the standoff began. When he called me, this started at 4:30 in the afternoon. When he called me at 11:30 at night, I think he was feeling like he was running out of options, and this was not going to go well because they hadn't gone away, and they well should have. So once he called me, I of course felt like I had to jump in and help and do something. And so I contacted the police, I contacted the sheriffs, and I contacted the news media. And there's only a couple of things, I think, that caused my friend to come out of this alive. And I wanted to share with those with you today. That's the important point of this video, but I wanted to give you the backstory. So, he's barricaded in his house. He's talking to me on the phone. He's told me he's turned out all the lights and gone black. And I was able to get the police to call me back. The police chief asked me what was the nature of my conversations with my friend, and I told him my friend is very worried and concerned that you're going to violate his rights and storm into his house. And that will not be good. It will not end well for anyone. And he is sad about the neighbors. He is very sad that the neighbors have been inconvenienced. That bothers him quite a bit. And he's also in a lot of pain and sick. He's got a very bad headache, and the stress of this situation is making his illness and his pain worse. The chief wanted me to get him to come out, and I knew that wasn't going to happen, and I wouldn't advise that anyway. And that's what I told the police chief, is that he's not going to come out, and I would not advise him to come out. He's not in a good physical condition. If your officers rough him up, they could easily break his neck or kill him. And so I am not going to ask him to come out, and he wouldn't do it anyway. And the police chief said, well, I'm sorry, you can't help us, and he hung up on me. Of course, I panicked, and so I thought quickly, and I called him back, and I thought, just stall. And so I told him, okay, I'll ask him. Let me just give me some time, and I'll call him, and I will ask him. So just hang on, I'll call you back. Just don't do anything, you promised me. He said, okay, we're waiting. So I called my friend and spoke to him, and I knew he wasn't going to come out, so I didn't even ask him, but I did tell him what the police chief wanted. And I said, you know, let me call him back. And I called the police chief back, and I said, he's not coming out. It's just too dangerous. And so then he started asking for my friend's gun. Well, if he'll just put the gun outside, we'll go away. Now, I'm thinking, I know my friend has plenty of guns, and, you know, to give up a gun to get these guys to go away is wrong, but then again, may be worth it. So I called my friend, and we discussed it, and this went back and forth. And at the same time that I'm going through all of that, I am also contacting news media and posting things on Facebook. So I'll refer here to some of the things that I did place on Facebook. I went to my friend's page since he is under siege, since he's the one surrounded. I assume they will be looking at his Facebook page. So I just started posting on his Facebook page. So my first post was, "Hey Durant PD, why are you lying and escalating situations? Marcus told you he's not suicidal. I told you I talked to him and he is not suicidal, and yet you still will not leave him alone. I have recordings of him tonight that prove he is not suicidal, and if you try to go in on him, you will be endangering his life. You are supposed to serve and protect, not harass and endanger." And all through the night, as I'm negotiating with police and negotiating with my friend, I'm also making these posts and contacting local news media. My second post was, "Durant PD, why do you escalate this? He's not suicidal and I have tapes to prove it. If you go in on him, you're doing so knowing that you risk injuring him greatly. You have been told he is in fragile condition physically with his neck, and any jolt could cause serious injury. Think about what you're doing." I also spoke to the chief at length about my friend's injuries and how he could be easily injured. I talked about how I had recordings to prove that he was not suicidal. So if they did go in, I was going to release it all over social media and any news outlet that would listen. And as you can see from the timelines, I guess I started posting at 1:55, and, now we're up to 3:40 in the morning, and I'm saying, "Okay, Durant PD, don't do anything rash. This is delicate right now. Don't set him off. Just give me some time here. He is no threat. He is just in a lot of pain, taking a short break. Hang tight. He is cooperating with me and agreeing to terms." So this still continued for a bit longer, but while all this is going on, again, I'm speaking to the police chief. I'm letting him know that news media is on alert and that they will be back out when daylight comes, and that I will have my tapes and I'll have my postings, and I will have my friend on the phone and he will talk to news media also. And so then you can see my next post is at 5:41 a.m. and I'm saying, "Thank you, Durant PD, for not hurting my friend Marcus Campbell. And thank you, Chief David Hauser, for having a calmer head prevail and de-escalating the situation. This was a very fine moment that I will always remember you for, my friend." So it ended up coming to a close at about 4:30 in the morning. And there's only a couple of factors that I believe that caused this to come to a good resolution. One is that my friend was armed. I was told by family that was in the church where the police had set up a command post that they were looking for ways to get in the house safely all night long. And because my friend was well armed, they did not feel like they could enter without endangering one of their officers. I'm not sure they were too concerned about my friend, some of them, but they certainly didn't want to get hurt themselves. Another factor that I think contributed to him getting out alive is me posting on news media and letting the police know that I had recordings of him and that I was in touch with him and that I was in touch with news media, and my posts on Facebook, just letting them know somebody is watching this and we will be reporting if something happens. Now, I don't want to totally discount the police chief because in the end, he did not go in. And I don't know who exactly made that decision, if the sheriffs had anything to do with that at all. From my impressions of the night that it happened, I felt like it was a decision made strictly by Police Chief Hauser. And I also told my friend that night that I believed Hauser did not want my friend to get hurt. At the same time, I suppose the police chief felt like he had some obligation, since a report had been made, to just make sure that my friend was okay. And I really wanted to believe that Chief Hauser's heart was in the right place and that he was really wanting this to come to a good resolution. Now, I felt like the whole thing started wrongly, because you don't, show up to a welfare check trying to bowl over people and their rights. But the fact is that no matter how long it took, no matter what happened, in the end, the police chief and his department made the right decision and went away. And I think the important factors were my friend being armed, continually standing on his rights and just saying no, 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 no. We were both telling him, you don't have a warrant, you don't have any right, you can't come in. And if you do, it's not going to be good for you. And I think those factors are what came together to keep this from being really bad. And my friend and I both were having images of Waco in our mind all night long. We just really felt like these officers wanted to come in. And I believe that it was being armed and contacting outside sources that were contacting the media and posting on Facebook that had this thing come to a good resolution. I don't even like to think about what may have happened had Marcus never called me, or had he not been armed. I think I'd have been waking up yesterday with no friend. So, I just wanted to share with you how this thing came to a peaceful resolution. And it came to a peaceful resolution because, number one, my friend stood on his rights and he stayed in his house and he locked the doors. Number two, because he was armed. And number three, because somebody was willing to stand with him and call media and be on top of it. So that's my assessment of the situation. I don't think Chief Hauser is a bad guy. I think his guys got carried away in the beginning, and then they created this big scene, and then they had to figure out a way to get out of it with their pride, dignity, whatever you want to call it, intact. And I believe that Chief Hauser was probably the middleman between his rambunctious officers and the calm sanity on this end, saying this isn't right and he's okay and you need to go away. And we just kept telling him, go away, just go away. Everything is fine, just go away. And I felt like when the chief was satisfied that my friend was not going to commit suicide, and when he talked to him again, they decided to leave. I really have to believe that. I believed that all night long about Chief Hauser, that he was trying to do the right thing. I did believe him all night long, as badly as I feel about most cops, having been gang-stalked myself by an entire department. And having seen what I've seen with cops, I'm not their biggest fan, but when they're right, I will praise them for being right. And Chief Hauser was right in this situation to, number one, be concerned. Number 2, to keep his men at bay. And number 3, to finally go away when he felt like my friend was safe. So, I don't believe that Chief Hauser had a bad intention, but I do believe his officers may have been a little rambunctious in their response. So, I don't know. Those are my thoughts. I don't know exactly what was going on behind the scenes, but I do know that Chief Hauser shared with me after the event was over that he had a suicide in his family just recently. Very, very close family member. I'm not going to tell his business any more than that. But I just want to say a very, very close family member of his had just committed suicide 6 months prior. So this had to be a very difficult situation for him as well, probably restimulating some memories, about his family member and what could or may have or he wished had happened. But I did want to give kudos to Chief Hauser for not hurting my friend, and I did want to let you guys know why I think this thing ended well and the lessons that we learned. So I hope that this information helped you, and I hope that you can come out of it with a safe resolution. Okay, that's it for today. I want to thank you for joining and watching our video. I hope you like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.